Hello, I'm Ritchie Knox, and you are tuned into Virtuous Teacher. Thank you for clicking on this episode. In this episode, we'll be talking about our biggest asset, that being parents. Parents are our biggest asset. We need them. There was once a time when I thought that I could pretty much do teaching without parents, and I learned the hard way that, you just really need parents. And we'll talk about that in greater detail in this episode. Before I do, please check out the descriptions area for ways to support me and my initiatives. Also, check out the new Virtuous Teacher t-shirts at bhshirts.com or by emailing me at merch@virtuousteacher.com. Okay. So, yesterday I checked my email and I got a email from a parent which included his number. He was inquiring about his daughter's productivity in the classroom. And I said, you know what? This is pretty cool. So this is where I got the idea from. But let's talk about why we need parents. Parents have the key code to the child you're teaching. You know what I mean, right? Like the child that you're teaching in your class, you see the shell or you see what the student wants you to see. However, the parents of those students know exactly who they are. Okay, like for example, my kids, I know everything about my little girl. I know what parts of her are me and what parts of her are her mother. But I already know that when she gets into a classroom space, her teacher is going to be like blown away by, how dynamic this little kid is. And if they never contact me, they will never know how to handle this child because she is just a ball of energy, a ball of insight. I was talking to somebody yesterday who also works with her. We have like private tutoring, private sessions and stuff like that. She was just saying like this little girl is just mind blowing for the age of 3. So yeah, well, and it helps her to work with my daughter because she knows the parents. She knows I'm the teacher. Her mother's the sporadic person. So you bring this very systematic thinker, myself, and combine it with the characteristics of my wife. Is like you get this little kid, and that's exactly what she is. So parents are the key code or the decipher when it comes to these students. So you need them for that reason. Also parents have jurisdictions that you don't have. You can't you can't discipline a child in terms of, hey, go do a timeout, or you can do that, but I mean, how many people have time to do that? Like, I don't have time to put kids in timeout. You're going to be in timeout for 30 minutes. Like, I can't do that. And oftentimes, one kid is not the problem. It's usually a gang of kids. All right. But anyway, they have jurisdictions that you don't have. You can't put a student on punishment. All right. You can't take away a student's, PS5. You know what I'm saying? And yes, when it comes to phones, I mean, you have a limited jurisdiction there because a lot of these kids, they're going to fight you over that cell phone. I heard of a situation like that not long ago where a teacher took someone's phone and got threatened. Matter of fact, that happened at my school. All right, but yeah, he was threatened because of telling the student that he was going to take the phone. So that's a real thing. So no, we don't have those jurisdictions, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb that the student who threatened that teacher would not threaten their mother or father if they were asking for the phone. So that's why we need parents. They have the jurisdictions and they can do more things than we can do. All right. They have a better understanding of the child. And I think that's all we have to really talk about. All right. When it comes to parents and why we need them. Next, your job is to build and sustain the bridge between home and school. Now, this is where I really want to go with this conversation. Why do you want to get on good terms with parents? Because when that student leaves your classroom, or I should say even the school, they go home. And if you have a bridge between the school and the house, right? If there's a bridge, a very, very working and sustainable and healthy bridge between the school and the home, I mean, that student knows that they don't have any wiggle room to break rules. Like if I'm at school, I might as well be at home because I know that the school is going to be in constant conversation with my parents. And if the student is at home, they already know that I can't lie to my parent about what I don't have in terms of homework and stuff like that because the school has already contacted my parent. So that pipeline being healthy between the home and the school is just a beautiful bridge that allows the parents to, conversate, enter the school to conversate and be a advocate at home. Like that system works amazingly when it's actually working. Now, one of my biggest secrets is my effectiveness as it relates to contacting parents. I told you in various ways in various videos or episodes that, I contact between 5 and maybe 15 parents per day. Okay. On average, I would probably say I contact 4 parents a day. Okay. If I'm being honest, I'm going to say 4, maybe 5 is a stretch. I'm going to go with 4 per day on average. And because of that, I have a lot of students who just don't take risks with me because they know at a drop of a freaking penny, dime, drop of a hat, I'm on the phone with a parent, and not only am I, telling the parent what the student is doing, I'm actually getting and building a relationship with that parent. In fact, I want to say I've texted about 2 or 3 parents within the last couple of days, maybe 4. Okay. And today for sure, I was texting with a mother because her son had not come to class and I knew he was in the building. So I was able to text her. She was able to text him. Again, we're talking about jurisdictions. She was able to find that he was with another teacher. And that's another discussion, how, teachers will take your kids and don't tell you. But, I'm just doing my job and making sure that I'm communicating effectively, right? But again, that bridge was highly, highly effective today as far as me and the parent. And that young man actually made time to come to my class after the school day had ended, because he knows how I'm going to, he knows how I'm going to move. He knows that I'm going to contact this parent, or perhaps he had got a text from his mother because I contacted her. I'm not sure which one it is, but he did come to me and explain where he was. So that is the benefit of having the bridge between the teacher and or school and the household. Now, when a child knows the school and home are connected, they're more likely to exhibit positive behaviors. Okay. Let's say that young man was skipping. All right. Let's say he was skipping. The one I'm talking about, I called this or text his mother today. Let's say he was skipping. That's a negative behavior. But the minute I contacted her via text, and you have to take what I'm saying and apply it how you have to apply it. Maybe text is a little too personal for you, but it's not for me, but me texting his mother, hey, is he in school today? Me doing that, and maybe her contacting him generated a positive behavior overall, because he came straight to my class. It wasn't even 5 minutes later he came to the class to give me a pass, actually. So that's a positive behavior. I would argue that the teacher did not do or take the right protocol or the right course of actions by keeping him without telling me. That was a negative decision on her part. But the minute he got that text, I guess maybe it's even possible that his mother reached out to him while they were in conversation, both him and the teacher that he was with. And upon receiving that text message, he probably says something to the teacher to the effect of, hey, my mother said I'm skipping, or Mr. Knox is inquiring about whether or not I'm skipping or if I'm in the school. And that maybe caused her to write him a note to bring to me. So I'm cool with it. However it plays out is fine. But I know one thing. That young man knew that he had to come and see me and bring a pass. And I'm not sure that happens if I'm not in communication with his mother. I could have easily, or just as easily, given her a phone call from the school phone. But, some students require more, right? This is one of those students who require a lot more than a phone call. I mean, we're talking about, if I called this parent, I will be calling her every single day. It's so much easier to just send her a text like, hey, here's the daily performance for this particular child. Here are the positive things he did. Here are the negative things. And allow them to just read that in their leisure. And when you do that on a daily basis, that child already knows that everything he or she does is going to be reported. And they have to start thinking a little bit more, cautiously. Like, okay, do I really want to say this profanity? Because I know it's going to make it to my parents. And again, that's the importance of the school to home pipeline. All right, that bridge. When the school and home are disconnected, such empower students to act out. Now, I've had several students who feel invincible because there is no connection between the school and the household. And you know what students I'm talking about. You've seen them before. They don't have any concern about anything they've done or anything they do outside of suspension, I'm guessing, because, that's when the parent will be notified by default. But when they know that you're going to pick up that phone, dial a number that is outdated, and you're going to get that dial tone, they already know that they're invincible, they're untouchable. Now, how do you circumvent that? This is not something that I want to belabor in this episode because we're talking about something different, but there is a way to circumvent that. Okay, within our school system, every child's address is listed. So it's nothing for me to get an envelope and a stamp and go completely old school. I'll go old school in a minute. All right. I'll get a stamp. I'll get a freaking envelope. I'll type the letter out on my computer. I'll even handwrite it if I have to. I don't care how I get this letter written. And I'll tell that parent everything that child has been doing. Because you have to think, if I can't, I'm the parent call king. If I can't reach a parent, that means someone who doesn't call parents on a routine basis certainly can't. And that would definitely explain why that student is so brash. How you say it, brash? They're so brash and so like confident in their negative behaviors. Well, when they reach me, and I know I can't get into contact with a parent, I already have it already mapped out. It's like almost like muscle memory. Like, okay, I can't reach a parent. You're acting insanely bad. I know the problem. Your parent has either changed numbers and did not contact the school. Your parent has not changed the school number within their personal number within the school database, something to that effect. So I have to go in and do the work for them. I will help a parent in a second. I will do half of the work for them. Okay. So I'll type a email or rather a letter, a personal letter, because sometimes the email takes forever to get back to you. Like you email them and it's almost like people don't check their email sometimes, right? So I'll actually make sure that the letter gets to them because it's going to their home and everybody checks their mail because people are very, very cringe when it comes to bills and they just want to get them out the way. So everybody's checking their mailbox. I will type a letter about a scholar and send it to their home. And I always see the same thing. It happens all the time. All right. So I'll have a student acting completely out and I'll say, I'm going to call your parents, and I'll know immediately whether or not that phone call is going to resonate or if it's going to get there based on their response. Like, okay, go ahead. When it's that way, I'm like, okay, my next set of thoughts are, does the number work? Does the number work? Those are my two thoughts. I call the number, and it goes to voicemail. It goes to dial tone, or it gives me some kind of message, or no one answers at all. I'm like, okay, all right, we're on to something. I listen to the voicemail voice. If it's that robot, I'm like, oh, here we go. So I'm just checking off my boxes because I'll tell you, my letter home is like my last resort. After that, I don't really have anything else. Okay. Well, I guess I can say that I have documentation towards administration, but my job is trying to get it fixed within my classroom space without involving administration. That's always my goal. All right. So anyway. All right, my last line of defense before going to administration, because I feel like that weakens me. If I have to go to administration, I feel like that makes me look weak, like I don't know how to do my job. So, okay, here's my last line of defense. I've checked all the boxes. This student is going off. I've contacted the phone number in the system. You know, maybe before I go to the letter, I'll look for other contact information like emergency contacts, aunties, grandmas, and now I'll call them and say, hey, do you have the new number? So if that fails, I have nothing else I can do. Like there's nothing else I can do but type that letter and send it home. And boy, let me tell you something. Nothing works like a letter home. Nothing works better than that. You don't send it with them. You mail it. You got to pay for some stamps. It's a couple dollars. It's a small investment for a great outcome. So I'll send that letter home and it never fails. 2 or 3 days later, that student is mouse quiet. All right. They don't want any more problems with me because I'm the first and only teacher who took that extra step, just that extra step to mail a letter home. It's like mind blowing. And you know it is to these new students because they don't even know what a freaking letter is. Like they don't know what a letterhead is. They don't know what a stamp is. They're so used to emails and text. They can't even believe that this archaic dinosaur sheet of paper came to this Fred Flintstone sheet of paper came to their house and their parents is reading a sheet of paper. They can't believe it happened. It's like magic. Like I can imagine them telling their friends, like, I can't believe what happened. Like Mr. Knox sent a freaking book to my house and it came in an envelope, like an Amazon package. And then my mother opened it and read it, you know, using her eyes. It was actually letters on the paper. Like, I can't believe it. And he told everything about, he told him everything I was doing. Like, it's like hilarious to think that this generation doesn't even know what letters are. So you're blowing their mind when you do that. But I'm way off topic and I do apologize. But anyway, so that's what happens when there's no connect between the parent and the household, or rather the parent, household, and the school. It's just you're asking for trouble. Now, I want to quickly talk about how to establish or create that parent-teacher bridge. Okay, I did talk about the positives and the negatives of it, but I do want to talk about how to actually build it. Okay, call frequently for good and bad reasons. You want to stay on that phone with a parent. Like I said, on average, I'm calling about 4 parents per day. As far as the spectrum is concerned, every look between 4 and 15. I mean, maybe that's a little drastic, and I'm being very very over the top here, but I'm serious. It's about 4 a day, and that's kind of keeping it very modest. And I call for good reasons and bad reasons. I would say, as far as a ratio is concerned, I call 95% of the time for bad reasons. All right. And then when I'm on the phone with them, I'll include or inject conversations about their grade and missing assignments or attendance or tardiness. But it starts with the bad behavior. So like for me, when a student is behaving badly, it gives me a cue that activates automatically. Like this student needs more attention. And instead of giving them attention in the form of yelling and screaming, I give them attention in the form of phone calls and parental updates. That's their attention. And after a while, they don't like that attention. You find out. And they kind of leave you alone. All right. All right. Next, be concise and giving feedback. Now, one of the worst things you can do as it relates to establishing that parent to school bridge is getting on the phone with a parent and not having concise feedback. And when I mean concise, I mean very direct, very clean. Not emotional. You don't want to sound like you're ragging and you're hurt and you're upset. You want to sound almost like a robot, like you're giving a description of what's happening without any bias. It's very objective, right? Or what is it, objective or subject? I forget. The bigger point is I make sure that I'm very clean in the way that I deliver that feedback. I don't get into any whining and crying about, what they said. They called me this or that. I don't get into all that. I just say what the student did, how the student is doing, and I listen. All right. And one way to ensure that you have a positive experience is to introduce yourself. All right. Hello, this is Mr. Knox from blah, blah, blah. Is this the guardian of blah, blah, blah? All right. Boom. There you go. That's a good introduction. You've said who you are. You can even say, I am so-and-so's art teacher or science teacher or English teacher. Just basically introduce yourself. Next, be respectful always, even when disrespected. Now, I know a lot of teachers fear calling parents because of the disrespect they might incur. But let me tell you something. Not every, I would say this year, I've had 0 negative experiences or disrespect from a teacher. And that is amazing. And I think it can be attributed to the way I approach my phone calls to my parents. But even if you are disrespected, just keep in mind that they've probably been called 7,000 times for this kid. And they're probably frustrated. They might be a single parent. You don't know what they're dealing with. So try to take disrespect with a grain of salt, and always be respectful. That's my personal opinion on how to handle that. Let them know you enjoy teaching their child and want to see them succeed. One of the best things you can do in establishing a parental bridge with the school or with you and the parent is making sure that you come across as if you care. I mean, yes, you're going to tell the parent that they skipped 3 classes, use 4 profanity words, and, can't stay in the seat. Fine, so be it. But make sure at some point you throw in there that this student is, a great student. You are very acceptive of the challenge that it's going to take to get this scholar to where he needs to be, where she needs to be. Something to that effect. And I don't do that every phone call, but I do make sure my tone suggests that. Like, yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. He came in a little disruptive, and I did ask him to sit down. You hear the tone. I'm sending out cues and signals with my tone as if, like, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know why he or she is doing this. I really want them to succeed. I really want her to come into the classroom and listen, but for whatever reason, she's not on point with that. Yeah. You got to have the tone. If you don't want to say it explicitly, make sure your tone says it. Okay? So anyway, this is why parents are such a big asset, and this is how you nurture that relationship, because it is so crucial and critical and important to what you want in terms of results from, your students. All right? And then every time you make this phone call to a parent, what's the worst can happen? They're going to come back better. I mean, very rarely does a student come back worse. I mean, sometimes you do experience that even after having that connection with the parents, but it is very rare and it's far and few in between. It's not an everyday occurrence. Usually, a phone call to a parent changes the child's behavior, and you're back on the track. So yeah, I'm not sure if that was helpful. If so, let me know in the comments. Let me know with a rating. Let me know with a subscription. Let me know with a like, whatever. And I do appreciate it. All right, start calling those parents. I'll talk to you soon.